Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to the 12th race of Season 4 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I'm Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Pocono 400 at Pocono Raceway as we are getting set for 22 laps of racing at the Tricky Triangle in Pennsylvania. But before we look at the starting lineup, we got to take a look at the point standings coming into the race today. So after last week at Kansas, Joshua Sekuli extended his points lead to 18 points over James McLeod. Third is William Brock, fourth Trent Dunham, and fifth is James Qualls. Sixth Sean Galligan, seventh Dylan Thoreau, eighth Chris Dollerton, ninth Charles Sanford, 10th Jessica Sheldon, 11th Kyle Matthews, and 12th Dylan Young. So that's the top 12 being how the chase would be with the top 12. The two wild card drivers currently are Zach Flickinger and Jay Jefferson still. But still plenty of time for drivers to get wins in hopes of earning their way into the top 10/top 12 or the wild cards. But let's take a look at the starting lineup. Starting in the last row is Zach Flickinger and William Duncan. Top 10, Rafael LeDuc is on the pole for today for the first time this season. Starting next to him is Furniture Row teammate Jay Jefferson. Row 2 is Dylan Young, DJ Curtis. Row 3, Johnny Gardner, John Cittadino. Row 4, Dylan Jacobs, Patrick Smith. And then row 5, James Shelley and Scott Roush. With that said, let's get the command to fire engines for the Pocono 400 at Pocono.
Drivers, start your engines.
All 42 cars on the racetrack for their pace lap around here. But yeah, the biggest change up, I think, for this race in comparison to the previous times we've raced here at Pocono at all on this channel is that we are doing a high drag package for this race, meaning that the cars are a little bit slower here than they have been in the past in hopes of preventing more wrecks from happening, in hopes of getting more racing to occur. But like I said, I am going to be curious to see how this race is going to play out. But also, you got to keep in mind, a lot of drivers are definitely going to be a little more aggressive because they are in desperation to try to keep themselves top 30 in points or to get a win. Rafael LeDuc is probably the biggest example of that. He comes into the race 29th in points, hasn't had a single top 10 finish so far this season, and he's definitely trying to get his first win of his career in this race team of Furniture Row Racing. But he got a lot of other drivers who are really wanting to push for a win, so this could be a very competitive race. We shall see how it all turns out. But Pocono does tend to either be wreckfest or domination races with little passing, but we'll see how it all is going to play out with this high drag package as the pace cars pulling into pit road. So you all know what time it is, don't you? It's time to boogity, 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 go racing! Well, it was Jay Jefferson who led the first lap because, as you're going to see right back here, when you're on the outside line in turn 1, you can maintain and keep a big run going. When you're on the bottom, it's kind of tough to keep it going. But when you're on the bottom in turns 2 and 3, you're definitely going to get a bigger run than the guy on the outside. As watch this, Johnny Gardner's going for a move underneath of his teammate, DJ Curtis, for second, and he definitely is going to keep that momentum going and is going to clear him now, and Rafael Leduc's now got a big run for third with teammate Dylan Jacobs coming up behind. So already currently in the early going of this race, Furniture Racing, all 3 of the cars of that team, or actually 3 out of the 4, are in the top 5. The only one who's stuck in the back is Matt Haas in the 79. Technically, James Shelley is also part of the team, same with Seth Cole himself, but them two are part of Backmarker Motorsports, but they are in close association with Furniture Row. And Seth Cole, according to scoring, was scored 9th, and then Shelley 11th. So overall, pretty good start so far for Furniture Row and their affiliates. And right now, Jay Jefferson's got a steady lead over Johnny Gardner, and then it's a little bit of a gap back here for third. Rafael Leduc has the spot, but Dylan Jacobs wants to take it. As we are still clean and green here at Pocono. While the top 2 is sort of spread out a little bit, everyone else behind them are racing really, really hard, but really, really clean. Although Charles Sanford kind of went to the apron just a tad to try and make that move work underneath of both Sean Galligan and Dylan Jacobs. But will Sanford be able to keep that momentum going on the bottom underneath of Seth Cole? And it looks like he will. But last time, the lap before, I believe Johnny Gardner was about a half a second behind Jefferson, and then this time by gained over a 1/10 of a second. Let's see what the margin's going to be now. But currently, Jay Jefferson still leads, and he did lose a half a 1/10 that last lap. Meanwhile, we got this battle going on for the 4th position between Dylan Jacobs and Sean Galligan, but again, the outside for Dylan Jacobs is what's going to help him get the run, as we're seeing clearly on helicopter view. Although Galligan could get a big run here in turn 2, and he does. Galligan on the bottom with James Qualls helping him too. But it seems like once they're done battling each other and they start to get the positions for themselves, they begin to pull away from everyone, although Johnny Gardner's got a big run right on the back bumper now of Jay Jefferson. So he could be in for a challenge for the lead, but you also got to keep in mind as well, pit stops are definitely going to be a big factor here at this racetrack. But the margin now is a 1/4 of a second separating first and second, and then it's over a second on back to Leduc, who's in third, and then Qualls, Galligan, Sanford, and Jacobs, and they're still racing really well back here. Dylan Jacobs back on the bottom to try and take 5th away from Charles Sanford. Actually, no, that'd be 6th, never mind. James Qualls moves himself up to 4th, and he's trying to reel in Rafael Leduc, and we got a new leader. Johnny Gardner has finally taken the lead from Jay Jefferson. He managed to run him down and go on by. Great pass for Johnny Gardner, as Johnny Gardner is actually trying to go for his 2nd win this season in hopes of being in the bigger picture of the wild card spot for the chase. One of the 2 wild card spots, I should say. Well, nobody retired out of the race after that caution, so all 42 cars are still on track. So that's a good thing, but quite a bunch of cars did come into pit road to top off on gas, but a lot stayed out. Seth Cole is now your race leader. Second, Chris Dollarton. Third, James McLeod. Fourth, Rafael LeDuc. Fifth, DJ Curtis. Sixth, William Brock. Seventh, Dylan Poteet. Eighth, Kyle Matthews. Ninth, Dougie Shears. 10th, James Richardson. 11th is Dylan Thoreau. 12th is Trent Dunham. 13th, William Duncan. 14th, Matt McIntyre. 15th, Patrick Smith. 16th, Zach Flickinger. 17th, Phil Parker. 18th, Zachary Fitzwater. 19th, Pichu London. 20th is Shane Lake. 21st is Emmanuel Hartnett. 22nd, Dylan Young. 23rd, Joshua Collar. 24th, Dorian Facepuncher. 25th, Matt Haas. 26th, Johnny Gardner. 27th, Sean Galligan. 28th, Carson Gum. 29th, James Qualls. 30th, Tim Fiegel. And then the rest of the field is Dylan Jacobs, Jay Jefferson, Charles Sanford, Preston Clord, Ashland Boyd, John Cittadino, Joshua Sekuli, James Shelley, Scott Roush, Jessica Sheldon, Jonathan Zorline, and Jake Baskinger. But we are back underway with 5 laps to go. But the question is, will these guys who all are still out on track that didn't pit under caution, will they be able to make it on gas? I do have a feeling they might, because we were under caution for quite a few laps, so they were able to slow their cars down and perhaps save up enough gas to continue the rest of the race. Meanwhile, we got this big battle going on for third. Rafael LeDuc trying to run the bottom underneath of James McLeod in hopes of getting that spot, as Seth Cole trying to go for his first win of the season. And he's been kind of free-falling in the point standings as of late. But this would be a great rebound for Seth Cole if he was to somehow, someway manage to win this race. Dollarton top 10 in points. He's trying to do his best to get a good finish or perhaps get his first win of the season. Rafael LeDuc trying to move on from some bad luck he has had. Meanwhile, James McLeod trying to continue his momentum that he's had going on for quite a while after winning the Daytona 500. But Seth Cole leads at the line, and it's 3 laps to go here at Pocono. Battle raging on for second. Dollarton has the spot. LeDuc tried to run the bottom, but again, that outside lane off of turn 1 gets that bigger run. But if he were to somehow get to the bottom in turns 2 and 3, then for sure he'll be able to make that move. But right now he slipped back quite a ways. Although a big fight going on here for the 4th spot. TJ Curtis has it. DJ Curtis, I meant. With James McLeod. However, somehow, someway, DJ Curtis just got a big pull away from the 51. But now the top 4 sort of started to come together. In fact, top 5 is actually kind of starting to form a train together, and we'll see if they're going to pull down. But it's 2 laps to go here at Pocono. LeDuc trying to get that run on the bottom, but just is not able to make it work. Seth Cole right now kind of enjoying the fact that they're trying to race each other hard, because it's helping for him to pull away. But LeDuc now might be able to get the run on the bottom, as here he comes underneath of Dollarton for second. Although Dollarton maintaining his composure, especially with draft help from DJ Curtis. But let's see how it comes through off of turn 3. And I don't see anybody on pit road, and the white flag is out for Seth Cole. And this will be big for Seth Cole, because if he were to win this race, he'll be locked into next week's All-Star race at Armory Digital Superspeedway. LeDuc manages currently to take second away from Dollarton, but I don't think he's going to have enough time to catch the 98. The 98's got too big of a gap now because of those guys behind him battling for position. A little bit of a bump and run right there. Looked like Richardson got into the quarter panel of Chris Dollarton to try and move him out of the way to take third. And where did Richardson come from? But nobody's going to challenge Seth Cole as we're coming out of turn 3 for the final time today. Checkered flag waving. Seth Cole wins the Pocono 400 at Pocono Raceway. Finally, after so long of being on a winless streak, to my knowledge, I don't believe he won last season. But Seth Cole finally comes through with the W, and I think he might have run out of gas as well, because he is slowing down more than everyone else. And I don't hear his engine going, so yeah, I think he had only a half a lap to the good for gas. But let's look at the rest of the results. Rafael LeDuc, much needed good finish of second after such bad luck so far at the start of the season. He comes through with a second place run. James Richardson, the highest finishing rookie, in the third position. James McLeod, the Daytona 500 winner, comes through with a fourth place run. And then rounding out the top 5, Chris Dollarton with a great run in fifth. DJ Curtis with a solid run in the sixth position. Dylan Thoreau with a good run in the seventh spot. Trent Dunham rounding out eighth. Dylan Poteet finishes out in ninth. And then Dougie Shears with a great run in 10th. Rest of the top 20 was William Duncan, Kyle Matthews, William Brock, Zachary Fitzwater, Patrick Smith, Phil Parker, Joshua Collard, Emmanuel Hartnett, Dorian Facepuncher, Matt McIntyre. Rest of the top 30 was Shane Lake, Johnny Gardner, James Qualls, Dylan Young, Carson Gum, Sean Galligan, Jay Jefferson, Pichu London, Tim Fiegel, Preston Plord, and the rest of the top 40 was Zach Flickinger, Charles Sanford, Ashland Boyd, Jake Baskinger, John Cittadino, Joshua Sakuli, Jessica Shelton, James Shelley, Dylan Jacobs, Scott Roush, and the last car on the lead lap was Matt Haas, and one car 2 laps down was Jonathan Zorline. Well, that does it for our coverage here today at Pocono. We're going to take a break from points racing because next week it's All-Star Racing, baby, as we are set for two separate races, the All-Star Open and the All-Star Race itself. And we're going to be in for quite a ride when we get to Armory Digital Superspeedway. But until then, here are your results, rookie points and regular points, and this is Levi McIntyre signing off.